So, giving a webinar, extemporaneous discussion on various topics, or to my super fan, Bill Cole. I actually don't know where Bill's from, but we had a long chat on Facebook, and he asked me for a couple of questions, and I respect that, so I wanted to give some answers. Um, he wanted to ask me why I think Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer are still dominating to their late 30s. And I think what you have is a situation like Connors. Connors was an exceptionally gifted athlete player, number one in the world for so many years, and he proceeded to play very well to age 39. Roger, Nadal. The big thing about Roger and Nadal is if you check their RPMs on the ball, they always talk about this sometimes, but the amount of revolutions per minute on the ball. Nadal is like 3 to 4 times higher than normal. Like the average person, the average pro, they strike the ball and put spin on the ball. It comes off with like 300, 400 revolutions. And Nadal is like in the thousands, 1,800, 2,000 revolutions per minute. And Roger is in the 1,800, And then you look at a guy like Djokovic, the big three have three things in common. First, extraordinarily talented ball strikers. Second, incredibly fit. I think Nadal and Djokovic are so incredibly fit compared to other players. I mean, they have a lot of experience in terms of recovery. I don't know if the younger guys have the same situation going on. They don't have the team. Nadal has those drinks he has on his chair, and they must have masseuses and physical therapy. I always wonder what they do so they can train for and play for 5 hours straight with like barely any lapse in their playing ability. So Nadal, Djokovic, and Roger have the desire, the talent, and the work ethic. And I think it's hard for younger players to have the work ethic. They talk about, I had a question about net rushing. Like he had bad knees and weight gain, and it came back to me. Like, do you have bad knees? I was having some issues with my knee as I aged. My first major injury came at age 26, and ironically, it was related to lifting weights. I was doing a simple dumbbell press at home, and I did something to my middle back, upper middle back, and then someone cracked my back, and it went from my upper middle down to my lower back. And once it went to the lower back, I had problems with my back. And then it was a small injury. It didn't bother me. It didn't affect my tennis. Maybe about a week, 2 weeks. But a few months later, I was playing mixed doubles, and I always remember this. It was like the first game of the finals, and I'm down love 40. And we were battling back, and we get to a no-ad deuce, and I had a second serve. And I was like, I really gotta nail the second serve. And so I threw the ball up, and I went to a nasty back arch, and I popped my arm right to the shot, and I hit a really good kick serve to the backhand. And I came in behind it, and I nailed the volley for a winner. But after that, I was like, oh, I just did something on my back. But the first game of the final, and I'm 26 years old, and I'm like, just keep playing. And what eventually happened was we went on to win the tournament, that final. And I remember walking home with my bag, and I'm like, oh, my back. And the next morning I woke up, I couldn't walk. I couldn't do anything. And not to say bad things, but I went to my friend who's a chiropractor, and he cracked my back, and it made it worse. I had to go see like a orthopedic surgeon, and I got like an MRI on my back. Oh, that's such an unpleasant experience. They stick you in that tube, yeah, and they like don't move. You're like it's like a coffin. But I have like a disc that's short on one side, tweaked it, and I I was leaking fluid in my muscle. I tore a muscle in my back, lower vertebrae, and my disc was tweaked a little bit and it was leaking. And so the doctor put me on 2 weeks of physical therapy. I had like 6 sessions. I don't know what they tell you, but physical therapy, that is not fun. That is torture. I was tortured for an hour every time. I would go there and I would leave a quivering mass of jello. But I learned how to stretch. I learned how to use weights for my back. I have this back row machine I always gotta do, and I gotta make sure the core is balanced out with my back. So your stomach muscles are attached to your back muscles, and they form a balance. And whenever I don't do my exercises, you can actually have two strong stomach muscles. I used to do sit-ups and crunches and leg raises all the time. So my stomach muscles are really strong, but it was putting pressure on my back because my back, I'm not flexible. So my hamstrings were very tight, and that caused a lot of problems because my hamstrings were very tight. Because your hamstrings are connected to your calf, your hip, and your lower back. So all the problems I've been having with my knee was like my hip. Problems I had with my calf was my hamstrings. It all centered around my hamstrings and my lower back. So I always have to remind myself to stretch a lot. And that was my first big major injury. And I had it again when I was 31. And I tend to have it every 5 years. And my body tends to adjust every 5 years. Like my metabolism slows down. I'm 51 now. And I picked up weight again. And I'm trying to adjust the way I eat and adjust the way I train. And I was telling Bill the best way, well, he's 30, he's like 8 years old, dude. When you're 38 years old, just stop drinking alcohol. Your body weight was, stop having sugar. Three killers: alcohol, sugar, and eating after 9. You get rid of that, and your body weight would drop. But when you're older, 45 up, you gotta be careful. You need muscle tissue to make your metabolism go faster. I've done intermittent fasting. You don't eat from 8 p.m. to 12 noon the next day. It's pretty easy because you normally sleep around then, right? And you wake up in the morning and you go to work, and then you can have liquids, and so you're just jamming until lunchtime. And have a regular sized meal at lunch and do it like every other day, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Really makes a change in your body. It puts your body to a state of like deprivation, and your body starts to eat up all the fat around you, and so you get skinnier. It's not painful to do. It's not something you do all the time. Like you gotta do off and on because your body will adjust. That was our tip about like losing and staying fit. I have a low pressure playing style. I don't hit hard ground strokes, big serves. Everything's sort of medium. I move people around the court. I come to net. I'm lucky. I have a very good first step, so I'm very fast within a 3 foot circle, and that's always been my game. And so I never really had a major tennis injury. I always get injured lifting weights. My friends get injured playing other sports. We play basketball. So if your playing style is like Nadal, where it's very harsh and you're grinding a lot in the baseline, you have to make sure you always stretch and you watch your muscles on your legs, etc., etc. You know, the problem with being fat, and we talked about this, is he can't serve in volley, he can't get the net. I don't serve as hard, so I can still get the net. I hit more spin, and my first volley is around service line. I'm not as fast as I used to be, but I don't hit as hard. The harder you serve, the faster you have to hit the net. You asked me about my kick serve. I hurt my wrist, so I have a limited range of motion. I can't bend this wrist past that point. I've been trying to strengthen it. I've been trying to make this more flexible on my wrist, but my biggest problem is I don't have a good range of motion on my wrist. And I'm having an elbow issue. I just was lifting weights, and I know it's a weight issue because both my elbows are sore, and so it's from lifting weights. Um, I lift weights to maintain my muscular my muscles. The other problem I have is when you play one-handed backhand forehand, this arm is significantly bigger than my other arm. The other problem is it extends down my whole body. My right shoulder is a little bit bigger than my left shoulder. My right calf, my right thigh are a little bit bigger than my left thigh on my leg. So there's always going to be an imbalance when you play with a one-handed backhand or play tennis in general because you just always use this arm over and over again. So you gotta be careful about that for injury prevention. We talked about COVID, but nobody wants to hear COVID. Um, I I live in Thailand for a bit now, and the level here is quite good. The level's good because they have every age has like several players on the national team. They take top 8, top 16 for a level, and those get special training. A lot of people are coaches, and they still play actively. And Thai people are not fat. They're very rarely fat. They're very thin. And being thin, they're healthier. They age better than I think our Western counterparts. And the weather is hot. It's hot here. So if you grew up playing here, you're quite adept at managing the environment. It's really hard to beat someone here. They're usually quite good at what they do, you know. And the national players are quite smart. The IQ, the tennis IQ is quite high. That being said, they don't break through. I think they don't break through because they're really inbred. They don't get a lot of international competition because it's so expensive to go out and play internationally, and they don't get a lot of exposure. When I watch Thai players play in age groups, very rarely do I see a difference in style. They're all like first strike, big serve, big ground strokes. I don't see people grinding points out. I don't see slicing. I don't see coming to net. I don't see variety. Everybody's on the baseline camp. They're banging balls at each other, and there's some slicing. The men have some slicing, but there's no net play. It's all big weapons. No one's grinding. It's not red clay grinding, and so I don't know if it's opportunity. I don't know if they're content to be very good here. It might be part of the Asian thing. Asian style is you don't like to play matches against people that are better than you. So, like our club, when we have a ladder, the Thai people don't like to play people they're going to lose to. And so it's hard to maintain ladders of play at clubs. So I'm wondering if it's the same thing when you play tournaments. Um, I don't have a lot of exposure to the pro circuit, so I can't express more of an opinion on that. My friend asked about the juniors here. I don't know. I don't know the juniors. Talked about motivating students, and I think the interesting thing here in Thailand is people want to be pro. In America, everybody wants to play for university and go to school. People here want to turn pro. That's the biggest difference I see in training juniors here. I have two students. They're quite good, but they're not working hard yet, and I don't like to push. I mean, to me, tennis is a game. Games are meant to be fun, and it's a long journey. Like, if you want to turn pro, you're talking about playing from age 11 to age 26, because you gotta be about 25 in order to turn pro and succeed, just because of body type and the physical demands of the pro circuit. That's a lot of money for a lot of years. My best girl is gonna play for North Carolina. I had her when she was like 11, 12, and then she moved. Um, she was good at the 11 and 12. She's a lot better now. I don't know how she's going to be doing after college. I don't know if she'll turn pro. A very normal thing is you go to college and you end up playing 20 hours a week, and you get burnt out. Or you step into the pro arena and you see how good competition is. And then you don't want to proceed because you kind of know where you're at. As a parent, you might think your child is really good, but your child is not dumb. They know exactly how good they are in a sport. So they take a look around and you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. It's a lot of work to break through. You gotta play qualies, futures, then you gotta play challengers, and you're always at the bottom of the draw. It takes a long time before you get seeded and do very well, and it's going each step to get to the big tournaments. I believe in making a complete player. A lot of people don't focus on volleys and serves, which I never understood. I have a friend who's very good at teaching ground strokes. These kids have very good forehands. No serve, no volley. And even adults, very good ground strokes. No serve, no volley. And as an adult, when they play me, I just slice, I bring them in the net, and I pass them. If I play with them baseline to baseline, I can't beat them. They're quite good in baseline, so I don't. I just bring them in or I come in. You gotta be a complete player nowadays. There's just no way. Um, Even when you watch like the pro players, Tsitsipas and other up and coming players, they're quite well balanced. And I really think what helps me as a tennis coach is I'm a teacher, a school teacher. And so to me, it's about benchmarks. A beginner starts with a straight back forehand. They hit the ball, racket back, contact, follow through. They get better. They start learning to see forehand. They come across with open stance. They learn that open stance footwork. They use more body to hit the ball. And I do that with all strokes. The body starts out very simple. They contact, follow through. Then they learn how to add the spins. They learn how to handle topspin and slice. Serve, it starts with a push serve. This is to get the serve going. Then they go to full serve, standing still. Then they go to a jump serve. And then they learn slice, topspin, and flat. You know, um, I believe that when you teach students, you want to build each part of your game. My theory is it revolves around first a forehand weapon and then a backhand not as a weapon. My theory in the backhand is you just don't miss your backhand. But you don't hit backhands for winners. But that being said, you don't hit backhands to put yourself in trouble. Um, on serving, they should learn how to serve down the middle, body wide, with topspin, slice, and before you know it, you have like nine different serves. To me, serving is like pitching. You gotta hit a different serve uh, for every player. You gotta find the hole in your opponent's weaknesses. Like every grip has a structural weakness. Topspin grip are bad for low balls. Your semi-western western grips are bad for low short balls. Two-handed backhands, um, they're normally tough on short wide balls. You know, and so you match the serve to their weakness. And that being said, when you play the court, I think three-dimensional. My kids play short court and back court. They bring people up and they go over. A lot of people teach tennis as a two-dimensional sport. Like, oh, he comes to the net, go right, left. No, I think right, left, in front, and over. And your students can do the same thing. It's just training. It doesn't take much practice to make your student quite versatile. Granted, some people take longer to learn, and I think that's where talent steps in. But the defining characteristics of boys: speed, power. You gotta be fast. First step, and then acceleration of the ball. You gotta have power, and then the brains, and then the maturity after that. Girls, you don't need a lot of speed or a lot of power. You can get away with brains. You just gotta not have weaknesses. But the girls' game is more physical, but you can still carve out a really good career being just good at everything. You know? But you're still gonna need a weapon. We went on to talk about how Bill has injuries. Kind of funny. It's playing style. We talked about aggressive baseliners, counter punchers. Those are really hard games on your body. I slice a lot now, and it's because I'm tired. But I feel that I've reached the peak of my slicing. And one interesting thing I discovered is I need to start hitting the ball again. My level is here, and I'm being held back because I don't have power now. So I'm going to start hitting topspin on my forehand and backhand, and adding. I've always tried to add power to my serve. The serve's always been sort of a weapon in that area, but my ground strokes I've been teaching slice, and I gotta go back to the whole full repertoire. I need to be able to hit topspin again and drive balls. So we're rebuilding that part of my game. My playing style now is significantly different when I was a junior. When I first started out, I had topspin forehand, two-handed backhand. I hit mountain balls at kids. I was just a little kid hitting mountain balls at you. Then when I came to the net, I would hit passing shots and lobs, like a little Michael Chang type, you know. Now I have a one-handed backhand. I have a slice. I come to net a lot. As I've aged, I don't go to net as much, which is a flaw in my game right now. I haven't found the perfect medium, but I bring people to me. I bring them to net. That's the biggest difference in my playing style. I play deep forehand corner, short backhand net, deep backhand corner, short forehand corner. I do like an X or a Z, and I just manipulate the court. I don't bang balls at people, but that's relegated me to a certain level. I need to get my level back to where it was. I need to start hitting the ball a little bit more with topspin and driving the ball to the corners. So we'll see how that works out because that requires a level of fitness, and I haven't had the time. You get old, you work, you have kids, you just don't have time to train. And to have that level of fitness, it's really important. You got to put the time in. You got to jog. You got to play basketball. You got to cross train sports. You got to lift weights. You need strength. You got to have you got to be physical to play like that. Other questions? Yeah. So that was what Bill said. He said he wanted to have a video about me talking extemporaneously about various topics. I hope it was interesting. I thought it was interesting as an idea, so I said, okay, I'll try it. And I'll throw it out there. So that was a conversation with Bill Cole. Thank you.